Good evening. What's up, Mad Dog? What's up, Miss Noodle Smuggler? That's great. Um, what's up, Blame Tag? Fun times. Give a little time for people to jump in here. Don't think Irish will make it tonight. He stayed up late watching the Super Bowl, so and was running on fumes today. All right. So, not much of a packed house tonight, but that's okay. How was everybody this evening? How's your day been? Any kind of scandal or bullshit you're having to put up with at work? I know, right? Not in the business that we're in, anyway. I think most retail workers run on fumes and caffeine. That's it. Sometimes it's just sheer will. Looks like everything is working, so that's nice. So, are we sick of balloons yet? Um, the the news cycle has been fantastic the past few days. The amount of people who want it to be aliens so bad, myself included. Um, you know, such disappointment. Such disappointment. Let's see. Mad Dog says one new manager finally started today, so there's that. Nice. Blame Tag says another corporate audit tomorrow. Feel like we're constantly coming up on another visit. Man, I got to tell you, I got to tell you, not having to worry about visits has been one of the most welcoming things to my newfound job path. Because it doesn't matter. I don't care. There is no like big ooh ah, pomp and circumstance for any kind of visit that we do, and it's great, absolutely great. What's up, hybrid? Blaine takes says you didn't follow that UF story at all, really? I did, because well, first of all, it was like the initial thought for me obviously was when I started seeing this stuff pop up, it was more balloons, surveillance, or whatever for an adversary. But the news media really ran with it, and very many mentions of UFOs and aliens, and I mean, hell, the White House today had to say that there was no extraterrestrial or alien aspect to any of this. That's where we are right now, which is kind of cool, to be perfectly honest. But no, they haven't recovered the wreckage. I think we shot down 3, and so far, I mean, it's going to be like surveillance balloons or whatnot. I think we're going to find out there are a whole lot more than we've known about, and you know, Blaine Tag, my oldest son says that too. I don't buy that. I do buy that, you know, they're not covering the thing in Ohio. But I don't think it's, some sort of, hey, everybody look at this and don't look over there, because there's enough people, on social media talking about what's going on in Ohio, and it's bad. Did you see the video, Blame Tag, with the dude yelling at the clouds, talking about how those weren't storm clouds? I mean, that's a serious thing going down. And it is, New Chernobyl is pretty accurate. TM Lens, welcome. We get a DM visit every month, and we just treat it like another day, and it's tomorrow. My line of work as a manager, I mean, my DMs I would see sometimes once a week, sometimes 2 times a month or whatnot. They were never really announced. They were always in and out because, most of the time the chains I worked in had a bunch of stores right around in the area. So we always saw the DMs. The visits that were, important were like the regional vice presidents and, above them or whatnot. DMs, very common occurrence, almost weekly in most places. Unless you had a store that was doing really, really well and they never had to worry about it, and they just had to come because they were required to put it on a calendar, but that's about it. I don't miss those. I do not miss visits at all. You know, TM Lens, we are 2 hours away, so it's an all day. He treats it just like another day too. Okay, that makes sense. You know, travel time, whatnot. Probably has to visit X amount of stores a week. You know, has to visit at least once a month. That kind of thing. Matt Dog says my DM comes in. He doesn't even bring in a laptop or anything. Well, that's good. TM Liz doesn't like unannounced either. Yeah, unannounced. You know, it is what it is. You know, most situations, if you're doing the job to your best of ability and following the policies and whatnot, DM really don't care too much. If you're doing the right things and you're not a problem store. Welcome, Blank Stairs. I posted a nice meme in reference to Dollar Tree. You know, so we got all these balloons, right? We're shooting down. I made like one of those fake breaking news things where they were basically putting a no-fly zone over all Dollar Trees because of Valentine's balloons. Speaking of which, I'm just curious, how many Valentine balloons have you guys blown up? Are we still where it used to be, where you're just blowing up a ton of them and putting them in the store up to the ceiling, or is it pulled back a whole lot? TM Lens, every store monthly, he tries to talk to most of the team while they're. That's cool that they actually talk to the team. Blame Takes is at my old theater. Our DM's office was in our building, but he'd rarely come onto the floor. The first Hobby Lobby I ran was my district manager's home store. That was fun. Not. Oh. Blank Stairs, I have blown up so many red heart balloons today. Yep. Are they still making you do like the chart that shows how many you have to blow up per day until Valentine's is over? Hero wants to know how many people have come back in saying they let their balloons go. 150. Yep. And they're almost gone. Yeah, we used to have a chart that came out, pre-holiday that told you had to count how many balloons you had, in the box, and you blew up a certain amount per day, and it increased as you got closer to the actual holiday. Miss Noodle Smuggler says blowing up Valentine's balloon is rough. Try making king cakes during Mardi Gras. Oh, I bet that sucks too. TM Lens, very nice. Only 99 were let go. Luft balloons. Oh, your merchandising manager quit today too. Ooh, that's not good. Touching on Hero's comment, a question was asked to me at work about that exact situation. Customer buys a balloon, goes out in the parking lot, lets go of it or whatnot, and they come back in asking for another balloon for free. And the debate was, why would they ask that? And it goes back to the whole the customer is always right. They've been trained to do that. And guess what? If you don't do it and they call corporate, they're going to be like, give them a balloon and a gift card. Just blow up the fucking balloon. At Dollar Tree, the balloons, are only like a penny a piece. So fuck it. Blame Tag, I worked at a pet supply store that had balloons for some reason. We kept inhaling the helium to do the funny voice, and I inhaled so much. You passed out. When I was at Hobby Lobby, I would walk over to the tank and huff it sometimes and like talk on the intercom. Because that's funny stuff. And sometimes we're children, and that's okay. Whatever gets you through the day, right? So let's talk a little bit about Spoutable. I know Blame Tag, you've dabbled in it. Miss Noodle Smuggler, God, that name. Okay, I want to know why that name exists. So let me know in the chat. I know you're on there too. So things I've noticed in my time there. all of a sudden today, well, first of all, somebody posted a comment that you can't upload videos directly to the site. And the guy who's running it said, well, until we start making money, you will not be able to upload videos to the site, like direct, not like link to YouTube or whatnot. And then today, magically, there's in the little sidebar that gives all your options as far as timeline and all the other stuff goes, there's at the very top is donate $5. And the thing I have noticed about it, what I've seen so far, it seems really and truly like a race to get as many followers as you can. There's even a thing like on the sidebar that shows like the top most followed spoutable accounts. And also too, you know, I don't want to make everything political, okay? Because I'm not a left or right guy. I don't care for either, right? So it's very left leaning, which is fine. I mean, I don't care. But if you start going through everything and read everything, you could see what it's turning into. It's almost going to be like two factions. You know, you're going to have the right probably on Twitter. You're going to have the left on Spoutable. And God, I don't know what kind of war that's going to start, but that'll be interesting. Miss Noodle Smuggler. Okay. So I'm a gamer. I needed to make a name for a game I was playing, and I just did random auto gen. I got this one and loved it, so I adopted it. Also, I really love noodles. Well, I love noodles too. I had noodles tonight. I had spaghetti. Did not know that about you, that you were a gamer. Nice. I live in a house full of them, myself included. I'm not as in depth as I used to be. I go through phases where I'll know life something and I'll play the shit out of it, but I haven't really played a whole lot lately. I'm waiting to buy the new Metroid Prime remaster when it comes out physically, and then I'm anxiously awaiting the new Zelda. I also have Bayonetta 3, which I haven't really played, and I should. I did play Hi-Fi Rush. That was pretty good. TM Lens, I'm moving over to Mastodon. Been a good experience so far. You know, I have an account on Mastodon too. It's going to be really hard to beat the convenience of Twitter. It really is. For now. But, you know, there's not a lot of interaction. You know, there's far more interaction because the one thing that's hard is when you build a community at one place, trying to get everybody to migrate somewhere else, it's hard. I mean, it just doesn't work that way. Howard says, I need the new Xbox for Dead Space. I'll get around to that one too. I do know that what I'm looking for is Atomic Heart comes out on Game Pass here very shortly. And then Stalker 2, when it eventually comes out, that's going to be Game Pass as well. So that's going to be cool. Blame Tank says, I've been on post, but it's 100% politics. Can't stand it. Squiddable seems better, but I don't check it much. Blame Tank says, I'm so pumped for Zelda. Not sure if I'm going to get Metroid. The download is cheaper, though, I think. No, I think it's the same price for the physical. I just want the physical. Now, if the physical comes out and it is more expensive, I'll probably do digital. You know, Warzone game night, yes. I still say that we need to have a Mario Kart like tournament with just Warzone folks. I don't really know how to make that work. You know, and you know, that'd be something I'd love to stream. That would be like some random night we picked. It's not a Monday or a Wednesday where we're all shit talking and whatnot and just going at it. No Switch. Do you have, you know, if we do multi-plat, you know, wait, the work wife. Oh, the work wife has a Switch. And I haven't played Mario Kart in quite a long time. You know, if this was 2 years ago, I would challenge everybody here and say I could waste you all. I probably would not be able to do that now, but I'd make a good run at it. But, you know, it is what it is. You know, like I don't have the Switch Sports. That would be fun. You know, I'm trying to think what other games would be good. GoldenEye would be fun. even though it was just a stupid one. Hero says we could do Jackbox games because you can use cell phone with that. That's not fast paced action. I really think most of us here want fast paced action. I mean, 4-player deathmatch. In Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I don't know if it has crossplay though, hybrid, because that's on Game Pass too. I had the nasty Mario Kart skills. I probably, it's kind of like playing guitar. You don't play for a couple months and then you it's muscle memory at that point. Yeah, I read that. Now the GoldenEye playing it on the Xbox is fantastic. I'm just really pissed off that they didn't release that remaster that was going to be on Xbox Live. I know you can play with an emulator, but I mean, my computers are made for, workhorse stuff. They're not made for like gaming. I'd hate to see what like some high spec shit would do. What'd be really cool, and I think you can stream it. Like if we all had Oculus Quest 2s, I'm sure we could have some entertaining shit in VR. That'd be great. Hero says, I want the mindless zone out. What's that game you're playing right now, Hero? What's it called? Broken Age? That's another Game Pass title. I mean, we've got Game Pass Ultimate, and I mean, it just makes sense for me. It for the money and what you get, I mean, it's great. Tetris, I will always be down with Tetris Effect, and I think that's on all consoles, and I think that's crossplay. Oh, you haven't played GoldenEye since 64? Yeah. Someone buy you an Xbox? What do you think this is, charity? Let me tell you, what really pissed me off was, you guys know the story about me getting laid off and doing the unemployment thing because, I paid into it for years and I was going to take a break. So I did that. But what I did was, I mean, obviously I was planning on going back to work and I was saving up money. What I wanted to do was get like all the gadgets and gizmos that I wanted before I went back to work, and just have everything set up, the same thing with like stuff for the live streams and whatnot, got all that stuff set up prior to going back to work. Well, I couldn't find a Series X anywhere. So what I did was I took the money and I split it and I got a Series S and then got the Quest 2, right? And then now, I'm in the workforce making, subpar wages, got bills to pay, mouths to feed, all that other stuff. And finally, I walk into fucking Walmart and they got one in the fucking case. I'm like, are you kidding me? And actually, one of the guys I work with told me he went in there yesterday and they actually had PS5s in the case to sell. I'm like, where was this shit, when I was ready to go? But no. Nope. But I'll be honest with you, the Series S, there's a lot of people that bitch about it because it doesn't have a bunch of bells and whistles and crap like that, like the X does. Hey, look, you get a steady frame rate, and a lot of it comes down to optimization. Like what they did with The Witcher 3 is amazing. It really comes down to the developers really putting the time and effort into it. I mean, if you can get 1440p at like 60 frames per second, to me, that's fantastic. I don't need ray tracing and shit like that, but it's nice to have it. Yeah, physically owning a game. I mean, we are heading to an all digital future, whether we like it or not. And we're heading towards $70 Nintendo games, starting with Tears of the Kingdom. Ha! Hero's got a pitch for you there, Blame Tag. I will say though, as a Game Pass box, the Series S is worth it. It really is. I'm half blind. I mean, you guys don't realize this. I am literally right now, my quote unquote computer monitor is a 42-inch Ultra HD 4K television. And I'm literally sitting a foot and a half away from it. So, I mean, Oh, you've downgraded from Cyberbully? Wow. Howard says Ultimate Game Pass. Yeah, Game Pass is great. I mean, there's a lot of games on there I don't play, you know. And it's cool to try out like games that you would never buy. I mean, there are titles that I will always buy. You know, if Doom's coming out, I'm buying it. If Resident Evil's coming out, I'm buying it. Game Pass or not. If Halo would not have been on Game Pass, I would have bought it. So it's and the Halo thing is sad in itself. So I don't really want to talk about that. I'm depressed about Master Chief. But going back to that, yeah, we need some sort of game night. That would be fun. Um, get some serious smack talk going. But you know, here's the thing: if you play on the Switch, it's my understanding that the easiest way is to have a Discord call. But I'm not sure how the streaming of all that shit would work. I mean, I know streaming on Xbox would be easy for me because that's a wired connection and whatnot. But, you know, I'm not sure how all that, I haven't dabbled in that, especially as far as broadcasting it, you know. Oh, well, Blame Tag, you're right. I mean, if we had free money, you could write more satire. And I think we should have more free money. I don't know about you guys. I'll take free money, you know, all day long. You know, UBI, let's do it. So, as far as the retail world goes, what are your guys' thoughts on people disrespecting other employees based on title? You know, let's say you're just a lowly old cashier and you got somebody that's a department manager or whatnot, and they do this whole, you know, who are you kind of thing, you know, and just totally disrespect you, thinking like they have some, you know, golden position of power when they really don't. You guys have to deal with that. Also, too, how many in the chat have stocked in a grocery store? I have a question for you guys. You know, would you guys think it would be acceptable from a stocking standpoint to, let's say, top shelf, stack cans 3 high? Or when the shelf's full and you have just enough room on the top that you shove merchandise sideways just to get it out. I mean, I hope you guys will not think that's acceptable, because I don't. That's not the way I was taught to stock. Oh, there you go, Blame Tag. Yeah, I was just talking to a manager about that today. The Downton Abbey vibes of one department lording over another. Yes. Ms. Noodle Smuggler, I think it's unprofessional. I think it's creating a toxic work environment. I think anyone who talks to someone a certain way because of title deserves a boot up their ass. Agreed. Russell says, really, where I work now is pretty fair all around. And yes, I've stocked grocery and no on all that. Yep, correct. TM Lynn says, it's going to kill someone. Yeah, it's going to fall on some lady's open toe shoe and like bust, you know, their big toe, and it's going to be a lawsuit. Hybrid says, no, stacking it 3 high and sideways would have got my ass fired from Kroger. Oh, well, there you go. Instead, it was drinking on the job. Okay. You know, I think I could tolerate drinking on the job more than I can stocking fucked up. But anyway, Blaine Tag says, our stockers do shit like that. But you work for a pretty big company, Blaine Tag. Do they not like go back and be like, what the fuck are y'all doing? Miss Noodle Smuggler, I'm disappointed. Just because you can squeeze it out doesn't mean you need to put it out. Hero says, I think unless you for complete certainty know their entire story as well as yours, you can't lord over I don't know what that would be. Um, Lord over a, oh, damned soul. Correct. Correct. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of the amount of self-absorbance and self-importance we see in this business, man. I mean, it goes back to like being that young manager, the first time store manager where they're like ball busting, I'm God kind of stuff. And you would hope after a certain amount of time, people would grow out of that. But unfortunately, some don't, man. Some are just like, do you know who I am? Yeah, I don't fucking care. Well, I run the warehouse. Okay, you're the warehouse manager. It's not synonymous with God. Have a nice day. It's like we all bleed the same. We all pull our pants on the same way. Well, at least I hope. I mean, what is this? I mean, did mommy not love you enough as a child that you got to feel that important? I mean, come the fuck on, right? Miss Noodle Smuggler. Okay, but some places I've worked had like really strict rules about making everything fit. Nothing goes back to the backroom period. Yeah, well, I understand that, but there's a limit to what you can do or you should do. Now, I would imagine that was probably a store by store basis. Some managers are probably okay with one way and some managers are not, you know. But for me, the way I was taught, no, you just don't do that. If the shelf will hold a case normally, and let's say case is 12. If the shelf will hold 12, you don't get the manufacturer a way to put 15 in there. 12's it. That's how it was intended. When the planograms come down and they show you how it looks, there's not shit sitting cattywampus all this. Nope. Stock it right and keep it moving. Blame Tag says, not really. Once it's out, it's our problem. There's so much turnover. You're constantly dealing with people who haven't been trained well, not sure what to do with stuff, and they just shove it all out. Well, training, that's an issue, man. It just, a lot of companies don't have a training program. I mean, seriously, how many of us have worked somewhere? Or even, I've had to do it being in charge, where, you kind of throw somebody to the wolves without training them. If you're not training them, at the same time, if you've got somebody you've thrown into a job that you didn't train and they fuck up, you can't complain. You can't be like, well, that person sucks. Because if you didn't train them, guess what? It's your fault, right? It's not theirs. Not everybody gets this. Not everybody understands. The first time person that comes into stocking for the first time because they need a job, they don't know. You got to teach them. And if you can't teach, you need not preach. Bottom line. Russell says, if I got one item left, it may get laid somewhere around where it goes. There's differences between hiding stuff that makes sense and doing stuff that's just going out of the way it's just stupid. What was this? TM Lynn's planogram's accurate. Yes, most of the time in some departments. Not all of the time. Sometimes planograms are just bullshit. Even the people making the planograms have no idea what they're doing, especially ones who are doing planograms and never had the merchandise in their hand, and they'll be setting up a planogram for it to be vertical, and it's too tall, or it's supposed to be horizontal. God, that happens so much. Blame Tag says, if you guys can, I'm trying to get the job title of planographer to catch. Use it if you can. Okay. Yeah, Blame Tag. I know better now. This was years and years ago. I think that manager was just a certain way. Yeah. Hero says, training is a whole other topic. If someone is getting complaints that they aren't doing something right, a manager needs to ensure they know how to properly, no matter what business. Correct. TM Lynn says they were awful at Target. Yes. Russell's right, referencing Dollar Tree. Them planograms are okay, but that quote unquote flow is like the Royal Rumble. Man, flow. Oh, it's terrible. Blame Texas. Oh my God, I hate dealing with planographers who have never handled stock making weird choices like that. Yeah, it's amazing to me the amount of people that are designing planograms that do not have the product in hand. I mean, you would think at a corporate office, when they're doing these planograms, you would at least get samples, right? You get one of each that goes on an aisle. I mean, you could ship it out to the stores, repacks or whatnot to get rid of it, whatever, and sell it. But you should have the merchandise physically in hand to, I mean, it's just like stocking. You should have like a 30-foot run of pegboard and pegs in some back office room where people are sitting there and actually putting this shit together. But no, there's some things technology cannot fix, and planograms one of them. That's why there's several people out there, myself and Hero included, and Russell was pretty good at it too, where you kind of, like in my case, it'd be like doing a Steveogram. You know, sometimes you have to do that, and sometimes your self-ogram is better than what corporate sends down. But because you're in the stores and you understand how the footage works and what needs to go what, and you know, that's a great thing. But the fact that, you know, somebody's sitting in an office somewhere making 2 to 3 times more money than you are, to not know what the fuck they're doing, and you have to self-ogram it yourself to make it look good, there's something wrong there. That's not parody, ladies and gentlemen. Funny story about planograms. As of like 10 years ago, InBev made the planograms for beer aisles for Target and Walmart. I'm assuming same thing based on footage, based on shelf spacing, right? But I would think a beverage manufacturer or a beverage company would have much better insight, I would hope, in making a planogram that fits, you know, especially if they're dealing with that product, you know, on a regular basis. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing worse than getting some planogram sent down and like it's urgent. You've got to get this planogram set by such and such date. And you're like, who the fuck made this? Nothing fits. The amount of planograms that get made without consideration for size of stores, you know, not the fact that some stores aren't cookie cutter. You might have one store that has 30 foot of a section. You might have a store that does lower volume that only has 15 feet. And there's no different planogram. It's like, oh, here, shove 30 feet into 15, you know, because they can't be bothered at corporate to do a separate planogram. Oh, no. The store's got to fucking figure it out. We already did our work for 30 feet. The little stores, they're on their own. And if it doesn't look good, we're going to come in and raise hell. And tell them they did it wrong. You can't tell them they did it wrong. You didn't send them a 15-foot planogram. They paid to do it. That's why Budweiser was always the leader, and you pay for positioning. Blockbuster movie toy planograms. I'm willing to bet any toy planogram, period. I don't care where it is, Blockbuster or not. Man. And you know, that's another thing too. Businesses who start doing shit outside of the purview of what brought them to the dance. If you're a grocery store, sell groceries. You don't need $150 deep fryers. You don't need all sorts of shit. When these businesses start expanding into lines of merchandise that they got no business carrying, that's when they quote unquote jump the shark. And it just causes chaos. Absolute chaos. You know, you get a truck in, I'm like, why the fuck do I have a $300 microwave here? Because everything's overpriced anyway. You know, if you work in a grocery store and you're getting in appliances, they're going to be like twice as high as like what they're going to sell at Walmart. And the reality is they just get fucking stolen. Nobody's buying that shit. Hell, they're getting stolen and taken down to the fucking Walmart and traded in for credit so they can buy whatever the fuck they want, right? Miss Noodle Smuggler, yes. Most time, big vendors pay for the space that they have, and the space that they have is diagrammed to their desire. It's paid for positioning. There's some grocery stores, like if you go in a grocery store and you notice that it's like only Frito-Lay on one end cap all the time, that's because Frito-Lay is paying for that shit. You know, there's a lot of that paid for positioning in a lot of businesses. Hero says you don't need bistro sets for your craft room. Fuck Hobby Lobby. That's all I'm saying. Correct, Russell. They pay for the space. Blame takes as always urged planographers. I love that you came up with that term. It's almost like pornographers. To look at how things ship when they make planograms. They can't seem to plan based on how it's going to be stocked. Well, they don't. They really don't. Yep. Correct, Miss Noodle. Miss Noodle Smuggler, is it okay that I call you by your given Twitter name? Because that's a mouthful. But yes, I know that working at a convenience store, even the cigarettes are organized the way Marlboro wanted to be. Exactly. Oh, Blame Tank says, I learned that from Shark Tank, how brands pay for that prime place. They do. They really, really do. Some companies, okay, that's what I was looking for. Good job, Mel. Just call her nudes. Whoa. Mr. Noodle Smuggler might not like that. Oh, that doesn't sound good either. Anyway. Oh, and that's another one. Hero brings up a good point. Pegged merchandise. Only 4 will fit on a peg, but your minimum order is 6. So you automatically, that's another thing. If you're going to create a planogram, the planograms need to be set up that one full case will go in whatever location it needs to be. If you're designing a planogram that doesn't accommodate a full case, you should be shot. You're just creating backstock. Yep, lots of that shit, Hero. Yeah, I mean, it's, and these companies know this. And there again, it comes down to, look, a lot of it probably does have to do that they're going by some sort of picture and they're doing all these planograms with a computer program. They don't physically have the product in hand and the dimensions may be off. I don't know. But if you're designing planograms that a whole case won't fit, you need to stop designing planograms. Let somebody else, let an adult in the room that knows what they're doing do it. You're causing way too much labor in these stores, not having, your thumb on the pulse of what the merchandise actually is. Smuggling noodles and snuggling poodles. Sounds like a shirt. But yeah, planograms are infuriating, especially when they cause, backstock. And because when you're in the store and you set the planogram and the product comes in, you're like, oh my God, only 3 out of 6 will go. Who did this? Because the whole goal in everywhere is to eliminate as much backstock as you can properly. So, if they're not taking in consideration, how many will actually fit, does it say, are you using 12-inch pegs, 6-inch pegs, 4-inch pegs? If there's no descriptor there, or the company only uses one size peg, I mean, you're causing problems. Or then when planograms get set to where all of a sudden they cut an item that sells in your location like crazy from like 2 rows to 1 row. What are we doing? And they getting mad when they come in and you've adjusted to your business. Oh no, the planogram's wrong. No, your planogram is wrong. They up there causing more work for people. Out of control. Man, Blame Tech, I can't imagine what the planograms are like where you work. That's got to be like a totally different level of hell. Because those places are big, man. I don't know. Do y'all do planograms by floor space? Like you've got X amount of floor, square footage that you have to put this stuff in? Because I think you guys have like dump cages and stuff like that too. that was one of the interesting things about working for Big Lots. When I was at Big Lots, there wasn't really planograms. It was kind of like Russell said, flow. And, if you're a good merchandiser, you can go in and do some great things. But that's the problem. If you're not a good merchandiser, your store's going to look like trash. Oh, wow. Yeah, exactly. Holy shit, it's crazy. Our planographer team is massive. I bet. I bet. It's almost like damn near engineering at that point. Property management, basically, in a location like that. Here it says, or they flood you redoing the same few sections over and over every month or two because they don't have the product anymore or it wasn't selling as awesome as they imagined. Yeah, that's another thing too, especially with like shortages and a bunch of companies going under and a bunch of companies that were doing private label that started, reprioritizing their core line of products. The amount of planograms that we're seeing come in, you know, you might see like, and I'll get a new planogram like 4 or 5 times in like a 6 month period based on what they can and can't get. And that's a problem too, because nobody likes doing double work. And in most places, you'd be like, okay, sometimes you used in the good old days, you would get like a planogram a year for like a section to accommodate the new year's merchandise. Oh no, not now. You might get 2 or 3 planograms for the same 30 feet like 5 times in like 8 months based on what they can and cannot get in anymore. And it's okay. They don't care that it, puts more labor on the store, and people hate doing double work. And usually it's the same people doing planograms. They don't care. Just handle it, right? Got to have a college degree in rocket science to be a planographer. A blame tag's job. Yeah, that would be that would be a rough place to do that, man. Because we ain't just talking about like gondolas and shells. We talking, it's damn near the size of a county. So that ain't fun. That ain't gonna work. That ain't ours, as we say at work. That was something that I wanted to do, because I'm merchandising was kind of like my thing, right? And I think a lot of us in retail, um, that's what we enjoyed doing. And it was really the only reason any of us stayed, because that was the only pleasure that we got, would be like, doing a selfogram, oh, I can make this look cool, you know. And I inquired one time about, making the jump to corporate to do that, to design planograms. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? If you're in a store, there ain't no jumping to corporate. It ain't happening. You can apply for it as many times as you want. You won't get a fucking call or even not, even a nod. And that's the big thing about the business that we're in, is you very, very seldom will somebody jump from a store level job to a corporate job. Don't ever let anybody sell you, some bill of goods that can happen, because I sure as fuck ain't seen it. And I've been doing this a long fucking time. Here it says, I wish there was a way to send the buyers a heads up, like, maybe buy more red and pink stuff for Valentine's Day in February, folks. It comes down to, you really got to focus on last year's numbers. Your boots did it, and it's temporary, and I've had that conversation, and not being taken care of, and will wind up not doing it permanently. Watch. And moving to a DM is not corporate. I mean, moving from a store to where the corporate office is and working in the corporate office. If we're talking about the same person, which I think we are. Merchandising is the same as planographing. Um, Planographing is somebody creating a planogram for you to merchandise too. Sometimes in some situations, you have the ability to merchandise something the way you want to. And what you find is typically people that, like merchandising. Russell says, I'm talking our regional manager at the time started as cashier. I'm lost there. You at the tree? Oh, not there anymore though, is she? That's rare. That's rare. And if that's the case, I mean, that's knowing somebody and get in and go with somebody. But typically across the board, you won't see that happen a lot. But then again, we're also talking about a company, too, that you can work there for 2.5 weeks now. And if you've got a pulse and you show up to work on time, they'll give you keys. So I don't know if that's exactly a good case study right there or not. But it is what it is. But yeah, Mel, it is the same. It's just one's kind of like free form and you get to do it on your own. And the other is they've given you a plan. TM Lens, they don't want people with experience at corporate. You damn right they don't. I would agree with that. 100%. There's such a divide between the corporate folk and the store folk. It's almost classist in a way. Don't think for a minute the corporate office people don't look at the store people as like lesser than them. And oh, hell no, you're not coming up there to dirty up their facility. What was the term in Harry Potter? Muggles? What's that? That's a good way to look at it. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to break into that. And there's no clear pathway at all. At all. Also correct, TM Lens. Prefer yes men who don't know what the reality is. Correct. It was Ming Mas. I don't know what that is. I've never watched a Harry Potter movie all the way through. I'm just familiar with a couple of terms. That's about it. Hero says, well, lots of companies seem to have corporate people from very similar colleges or families. Of course they do. Because God forbid you let the people that are on the front lines who understand how the business work infiltrate and run the business properly. We can't have that, right? No. We can't have the essentials come to the corporate office. Muggle, that's what I thought. But yeah, I mean, that's, man, we could do an entire war zone on planograms. I think I could source enough from people. I could get anonymous pictures of like planograms without giving away, anybody's identity, that we could have a fucking field day with that. Blame Tank says, Ming-Mas were like the goblins who cleaned the school, and the kids were always mean to them and never faced consequences for being dicks to them. Okay, well, that makes sense too. Yes, I agree with that as well. That's why us commoners are not allowed to have white collars and move to the office. Because you just can't have that, right? It's just not acceptable. It's very classist. I mean, that's another episode in itself. It's the division between corporate workers and store workers. And that's a huge thing. Hero says you can't give all the Dobbies a sock. I don't know what Harry Potter you read or watched, Blame Tag. Bright Space Babe, welcome. Ming-Mas was not in Harry Potter. He knows that, and he knows he's fucking with me, but he came up with something that sounded right, and that's why he's one of the greatest retail journalists on the face of the planet. So there you go. He can spin a yarn that tells the story. Blame time. I'm going to have to like clip this, and this is going to be like a testimonial for the serving times. And no, it wasn't planned. Welcome, Bright Space Band. But yeah, that's a good topic to discuss. Put a trigger warning on it. Yeah, a topic to discuss. You know, the division of, like, if you lined up, we'll just use Dollar Tree. All right, if you took your average Dollar Tree crew and stood them next to the corporate office crew, it would almost be like a visual aid to show you how the quote unquote other half live, and it would make the store team look impoverished. You know, I mean, it would. That'd be the great comparison to draw. Okay, see, Blame Tank. Now you're going over the top. But yeah, Hero, you're out. One of these things is not like the other. You know, take the regional team. Take your regional HR, your regional VP. You know, they're all going to dress real nice, and they're going to stand for the picture all smiling, like everything's like. And then you're going to have a picture of a store crew looking at the camera like this. Do it. That'd be a great comparison. Great comparison. You know, that'd be a lot of fun too. But anyway, folks, we are sitting at just about 9 p.m. I hope everybody had a decent week at work last week. You know, beware Chinese balloons. Beware aliens. Beware Ohio. Definitely, for sure. If you people don't know what the Ohio thing is, look up the train derailment. Also, too, there were 2 more train derailments, one in Erie, South Carolina, and one in Texas. So, a little suspect there. Kind of interesting how these balloons have flown over the United States, and trains are just popping off the rails. So, I don't know. Maybe we need to do some research. I don't know. But Wednesday, not sure what we're going to do. I will tell you that I'm almost 100% confident Wednesday we're going to be talking about the interwebs and all these high-profile, quote-unquote, human resources sites and what they advise to do to retain staff. Most of them have like the top 10 ways to retain staff, the top 15 ways to retain staff. Yeah, we're gonna bust the fuck out of that come Wednesday. So good stuff. Yeah. Check that out, Mel. Yeah, pay the train workers and give them sick time. Yeah, a lot of things. The government stepped in to prevent a strike. Now look what's happening. Just saying. So having said that, everybody, have a wonderful rest of your evening. Enjoy yourselves. Don't stress too much at work. It's not that serious. It's just a retail. And we'll see you Wednesday night.